Hey guys, welcome back. So, we're going to set up DNS. Actually, what we're going to do in this one, we're going to set up VPS, a virtual private server, because I think this is going to be one point of what we're going to need. We're going to need something somewhere to serve the web. So, I'm going to take this that I just acquired for like $2, and I'm going to go ahead and I will set it up to be a VPS for the web. Actually, I'm probably gonna, well, that's what I'm gonna do for this one. I really didn't want to do this to this one. I was gonna set this one up for email, but let's do this for, again, this is a common problem for, I have time, so I'll probably spin up another box. This site actually is coming good as far as blacklist check go. I'm using MX. This is one of the key ones when I'm doing DNS is MX Toolbox. It's a good one to start with. It helps you with basically a lot of the mail setup stuff when you're setting up a box. One of the things you're going to want to do is check the IP that you're given and see how clean it is. This IP that I was given came back really clean. So I'm happy about that. So yeah, I mean, and here's another IP I looked at, and then it's on this list right here. That means when you're on this block, basically it means somebody else, there's enough spam on that network. Doesn't necessarily mean the IP, they say it was listed, but it could be the whole subdomain. In other words, these are /16/24/48, depending on which IP type, whether you're dealing IP6, IP4, you can't go above 32 on IP4. But on IP6, it goes all the way to 128, as far as the Subnet Mask is concerned. That's how many available network, or how many available nodes are on a particular network subnet, if you will, underneath that. Basically, each one of these is masked with a 255, 255, 255, 254, for instance. So you only get one available IP. Is how all I have is a /32 basically here, because I only have one IP to work from. So that's kind of how that works. And so this doesn't necessarily mean that my IP that I've gotten from the VPS provider is actually the one that's created the spam. It means that I'm on a block of other spammers, where there's enough spam, I should say, on that particular sub block that they blacklisted the whole block. That's what this UCell Protect L3 is. There's L1. L1 is when you're on L1 here, you're definitely on a spam list, and that IP has definitely been noted as spamming. L2 is kind of, they haven't done anything about it. L3 is the entire block, basically, is on a spam list. So when you're on L3, you probably will be okay for the most part, as far as most email stuff. But even being on one, and this is one of the big ones, I would say, just that are used by spam detection. So being even on this one is enough that, yeah, you can remediate it by getting on the whitelist for that, especially for this one. But it's not a free whitelist. You can't just say, hey, put me on the whitelist. You have to pay for it per month to be on that. So you're better off starting, as clean as possible. So I've got this IP from IONS or INOS or IONS or IONOS, or I don't know how you say their, proper, but they're the ones that we're going to use for this video. Mostly because I've sent an email to unblock it, and I've given reasons why I want. They say contact support. They're a little slow on support, honestly, I think, personally. Like I went on, you click here, I'll show you. And then I picked server and cloud. And it really wasn't any of these. I didn't even look. I'm just like, well, contact, I'm just like, it doesn't really fit. So I contact and I hit live chat, agree to start, and I get, please try again later. So I have no chat, and they might be on a different schedule. I don't know what their schedule is, but it didn't help. I couldn't get anywhere. So, needless to say, I sent a support email. I had one of their support at ionis.com, so I just replied to that, saying, hey, I would really like port 25 unblocked, and here's why. I am going to run email, but I'm going to have it with proper security. It's not going to be a relay. The big thing with email is if you don't set it up right, you can relay. And there's constantly bots, basically, that are scanning for ones to relay off. That's the big reason a lot of the network traffic is hitting your servers, to try to find an open relay so they can send off emails through it and use it to spam everybody in the world like they like to do. So I'm happy to say that this does offer. It looks like a way to turn that off. Now, it's kind of good that they do, because that's protecting their whole subblock by saying we're not going to just give you port 25. We want to know that you know kind of what you're doing, and that you're not going to create us issues, because that's how they get on that list, is by not having people respect port 25 and not knowing what they're doing configuring servers. So I'm not going to get into email right now. I just wanted to bring it up, as this is a clean IP that I will be using for email, going forward. And it should be good. And like I say, I'm gonna set it up so it can't relay, and then it only sends out emails for emails that it supports, or that it has a access control list that says I can send this email by this user, because I verified that this user is who they say they are. And so it's important to set that up properly, so that you aren't relaying for some spammer out there, and they're getting to use your IP to pollute other people before they blacklist you. Because that's the whole purpose, is find a good clean IP to basically ruin. There's a lot of unkind people, unkind groups out there that their whole goal is just to create havoc, and that's really what they're doing. Just look at my other web server. I don't even have much on it. That's the problem. You don't even need anything on it. Web 2. Just look at this, for instance. You just go to system logs, and it's just irritating to me that it happens to be this way. 90% of the stuff out here, the server has to spend some CPU just kicking out bad IP and bad source. They're blocked for some reason. So as a person serving, you should be constantly monitoring your UFW, your failed ban, your access logs, your error logs for Apache, any of these, anything you can log, you should log. If you're, like, look at, I mean, for a while there, I was just getting pummeled. I was just, it was just hitting. I mean, these are the kinds of things that these script kiddies, they're trying to script into, they're trying to hit PHP a lot on these servers. Trying to find some stupid PHP that's open enough so that they can spam or they can hack in or they can do something. So, it took me a little bit to get that cleaned up. I think I got it. I haven't seen, and I was like, where did this come from? And then I tried it. I'm like, oh, that's coming in from, if you hit on my login page and you say send, because I don't have email set up right now. But, that's why. It doesn't have send mail. So it's bombing out, which is good right now because it's not set up properly. I don't want people misusing any of that stuff. If you allow them to relay it somewhere and don't have a good way of managing it, you're going to let them control your email. And they're going to use it to get free spam out, and cause, that's what you see. I mean, look at, people are just tired of it. I don't want to be a spammer, so constantly looking. My Apache and even my access logs. Who's touching this server? Alright, so I had a coughing fit there. I don't know if you, I might have to edit a little bit of the video there. So if there's a blurb, it's because I was coughing. I'm not happy with it. So, logs. Learn them, love them, and use them. That's what I have to say about that. And as you can see, I mean, there's no mail logging right now because there's no mail turned on, so there's nothing to mail anywhere right now. So, those are things you got to look out for, though. When you start turning this stuff on, I'm constantly looking at logs. As you turn things on, you want to be looking at those logs and finding where you're having issues at. Where are you exposed? Where are you? I mean, look at this. SSHD is such a common, and PAM. These are the two most common things I find failed ban popping on. And I've set it up really tight. Like all day you're banned on my site if you hit this. And I've got like PAM generic. I've got it set to 2. It takes 2 attempts within like an hour. I just lock you out. I mean, I'm not messing around with it. If you're hitting my server that way, I'm going to knock you out as best I can. I'm, like anything else, there's ways to circumvent these. That's why you're constantly looking at logs, or you're looking for ways that people are vectoring into your servers. Because, there's scripts that get put, by accident that leave holes and you don't know about it, and then people, that's why they're scanning PHP all the time, is because there's constantly people that have put stuff on their servers. They don't know how to configure it properly, or they just put whatever on there and they don't understand the implications of that. Even my site right now is not as secure as I'd like it to be, but I'm just setting it up so I don't care, too much right now. It's pretty fresh. And I mean, I don't care if I lose a server right now too much, because like I say, I don't keep it just all on there. But yeah, I mean, I'm just sick and tired of finding all of that. And then, it's just like, yeah, you keep hitting me, I'm going to block you now because you keep hitting me. So that's the kind of stuff, from a server perspective. This one was really supposed to be about setting up, but really it's about looking at your logs right now. Alright, enough of that. So I've got a clean server out here. Alright, so I'm going to show my password because it's about to get changed. So here's my nice little password that's free. We're going to set up this server to be a web server. And maybe I'll probably, more than likely, use it for email, and then I'll move the web eventually on its own server. Because web can be on one of my dirtier servers, I call them a dirty server because they are getting hit with spam. So now I'm going to paste in that, and then I'm going to do this. PAFWD right away, first thing. You don't even need to put root. You just go right in. Change that thing. Oh, I did the wrong password. So that's going to fail. Just do it again. Alright, so we've got that set. So now I'm going to log out and test it, make sure I got it right. Because now's the time to find out you screwed up, as opposed to later when you're in the middle of okay, so I know I got my password set right. So how am I going to do this? Well, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to set up a LAMP server. Every one of them is slightly a little bit different, as far as how it kind of works. Maybe you just do it there. I think that's where you do it. Now I hit the deploy, so I can't change my OS because it's in the middle of the deploy. I think I can change it. I don't know. That's what I'm trying to remember. I kind of like to set it up as a base. Look, you can Flask, Vesta, CP, you can have cPanel on there. You can have Docker, Drupal, GitLab already set up. OpenVPN's already configured. I don't know why that's so hard. Anyway, they have it as an option, so you can kind of, start with something a little bit more than just a, baseline server. It's got some stuff on it. Joomla, I think that's virtual mint. I think that's interesting. I mean, that's what I, it's a step above the Webmin. I don't know the benefit of running virtual mint versus Webmin on a single server. You can kind of cluster them together and things, I think, but I don't know. I haven't dug into virtual mint. But even Debian, you got Debian baseline, and then you got Docker and Plesk, as well, and then Debian 9. I'm glad they don't go back further than Debian 9. Shouldn't need to. But I guess what I'm saying is that, sometimes you're better off just starting with the base image and then configuring all those little subcomponents exactly the way you want them, because you don't know how they've configured some of this stuff and how open some of it is. Hopefully they've done a better job than you could, but your testing phase, you should always go through a test whenever you're setting this stuff up. Never just pretend like you're going to have it set up perfect the first time. You're going to be re-imaging these boxes, more than likely. Okay, so just be ready and address it as needed. That's really all you can do. Oh, reinstall image. I think this is where you could pick it. This is what I did wrong. That's they don't give you any of the, at least that I can see, a bunch of options. Oh, you can add Plesk if you want. So, you know, there you go. Let's just start over. All right. That way you get both screens. You can kind of see what I'm doing. All right. So I've got a server. It has nothing on it. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put uncomplicated firewall. So I always just do it usually comes up pretty good. Right here. This is the one I like a lot. So first, all right, we're good. The image is good. I love that one. It's a clean image. And you notice I'm not using sudo because I'm at a hashtag here. I'm at root. So sometimes you have to use sudo, but no, whether you do or not, based on whether you're at a hashtag or not. Because when you're at the root, you have that as opposed to it. I forget now. It's been old. I don't pay attention. I just always look for the hashtag. Now, you know, that's awesome, right? With this particular provider, I don't really need to install UFW. They've actually got a firewall in front of this. So I could technically not install UFW. But I always like to, just because it's in... There's no such thing as too much security. Well, I shouldn't say that. How many times has anybody turned on all the features and then locked themselves out by doing so many features of security that you can't even get yourself back in that server? So, you know, that's like, yeah, where you can even deny outgoing. And it's an awesome feature if you don't want to be spamming the world and stuff, and you don't need port 25 turned on, and somebody can't just install an app and then just start sending. Port 25 is blocked from the outgoing side as well. So incoming, outgoing, but typically you just do the allow outgoing. You know, that's typically how you set up your firewall. You know, and here I allow SSH. Okay, there's actually now in UFW a limit feature, which I don't know that they mentioned the limit. Well, it's kind of neat because with limit, you can limit how many times. I think it's up to 6 by default. So basically, if you try to connect 6 times, but after you put in on, you know, like especially SSH, if you're on SSH, otherwise put the, you know, port 22. If you're not on port 22, put in the TCP for whatever port you're going to be putting in. And once you do that, you're going to want to enable your firewall, because, you know, it's good to have a firewall enabled. So click yes on that. Once you've got that enabled, you are firewalled. So those rules that you set, now you can do UFW status and see what rules you have. Right now, that's it. I just have TCP coming in. So that's the default kind of SSH. You know, you can use aliases for a lot of that stuff. TTH, what am I? HTTP is what I'm trying to say. HTTP or HTTPS. DNS is another common one that you can just use as an alias. Those common ones, I can't remember where the list. I think there's a way to list it, even in what aliases are available inside of there. You can add them too. You can add your own aliases. If you have specific ones that you want to add, you can add your own and then reference it as an alias. But that's beyond where I wanted to show you. I just wanted to tell you the basis of how I'm going to set up a, and then immediately, the next thing I'm going to do is put in fail to ban. Oops, gotta put the install in there. That sets up, I think by default, failed ban is turning on SSH filtering. So as soon as you put this in, you're protecting your server better. As soon as you did that, you just locked the server down. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Debian now, or Webmin. Now, I've reached a limit. I think I'm already, but alright. It doesn't really matter. Just know where you're putting it. And yeah, see, wgets not found. So. I like wget. I should always make sure it's on. And then I'm just going to combine this. A lot of people do. They have it separate. I'm just putting it together. And see what you do. There, I did what I wanted it to do. Alright. The amper means wait till you're done. So. Again, I'm going to do that here. Because I've had problems trying to paste this in before. I think this will work better for me. With yes. I usually put it at the beginning, right in here. All right. Now, we got Webmin in there. Baseline server, almost done. This is like, I think I'm gonna just put this as a video. I'm gonna, I don't care how many videos I create of this stuff, because I think it's better to keep it simple, because then people don't have to search around and find stuff in the videos. It's just, I don't want to get into the 1 hour videos on this stuff, So this is kind of what I would consider my baseline server. I've got Firewall, I've got Fail to Ban, I've got Webmin, and then I'm going to enable Webmin. We're going to go a little bit further for a baseline server, though, because this is going to be a web server, so I'm going to show you the next thing. I'm going to baseline this thing and get IP6 on Webmin. Because last night I ran into a problem in my last video where I didn't have Perl lives. There it is. Well, FYI, put that in. Guess what? Webmin now will work on port IP6. I mean, not port, but IP6. Let's try it. Oh, come on. Bracket. $10,000. There. I had to restart Webmin to get that Perl library to load. Yeah, this has definitely become way too long a video, so needless to say, I'm gonna have to speed it up. Alright, so almost done with the baseline. Because we're baselining this server. Okay, so what do we got so far? What do we got? We've got networking. We've got fail to ban here. The base fail to ban. Why? SHD there and SS. I'm confused. I'm confused. I swear I saw that. I'm going to have to look at the video again because I thought I saw this as a yes and this is a no before. Okay, so Other things, bam, Pearl, Pearl, or Pearl. Right off the bat, I'm gonna ban um, ham generic. Oh, and the other thing on SSH, I set it down to like 4. I say max between delays. I give 50 minutes. And I do a 1-day ban. I'm not messing. Now, if you want, you can put your IP address in there so you don't ban yourself or your subnet, I think. But I'm not going to worry about it. I have other ways in if I ban that IP, so I always use those if I have to. Let's see. So what do we got here now? We've got 1-day ban. We're looking at that log. Yeah, and then I'm going to do the same kind of thing with Pam. I do the same kind of thing with Pam. I just, only I put this one at 3. I do like 50 minutes. One day, you're done. And then Webmin too. These are the base. That's what I got installed. So, what do I have running? No, I'm not going to be quite as aggressive on Webmin. Time to ban, I'm only going to say we're going to ban them for 60 minutes. So we should have Webmin on, right? Did I turn it on? Didn't I forget? Because I might have set it up. I didn't actually put, yeah, see, I didn't hit the enable. Alright. That's pretty good. Right there. Now we got something to talk about. I always make sure I can restart without it failing. Because when it fails, it's usually because the log file doesn't exist, that kind of thing. Alright, so I got failed ban set up. This thing is just going to knock out everybody. Oh, I forgot one other thing. I was going to say config files. I like to go in this, I put the 3 days. There. There, now I kind of got failed ban where it's good for right now. Now we're going to add to it. And I'm still not 100% on some filters for Apache that don't seem to be working right. So once I get that figured out, I'll update this video. But for now, I'm going to go with what I know. And we'll come back on Apache later. Alright, so we have SSH on here. It's working now. So I was going to look at that because I thought I had issues. I don't. I am good there. So, like I say, when I put a system up, it's on the web, it's getting hit, I look right away. What are we getting hit on? And so far, and yeah. I would consider this a pretty much every server I ever build right here at this point. So this is my baseline server. I know where I like it. It's got Firewall, it's got Webmin, it's got some of the basics. We're going to leave it at that.